Welcome to a lesson on interpreting the slope and intercepts of a linear function. Let's begin by talking about the slope. We know the slope is equal to the ratio of the change in output to the change in input, but to understand the meaning of the slope, we want to focus on the units of the slope. So the units of the slope would be equal to the ratio of the output units to the input units. And this ratio gives us a rate of change, and for a linear function, the rate of change is always constant. To understand this, let's look at the example below. Let's say we have a function that has an output of height in feet and an input of time in seconds. We know the slope is equal to the ratio of the change in height to the change in time. But if we focus on the units of the slope, because the units of the output are in feet and the units of the input are in seconds, the units of the slope would be equal to feet per second, which is why the slope gives us a rate of change. Here the rate is in feet per second. So in this situation, if we had a slope of -5, let's explain the meaning of this slope. To do this, it's helpful to write the slope as a fraction, so we can write -5 as -5/1. But let's go ahead and include the units in the slope. So again, the units in the numerator would be feet, and in the denominator we would have seconds. So we have a slope of -5 feet per second, which again is measuring the change in the height with respect to the change in time. So this slope tells us the height is decreasing by 5 feet per second, again because the 5 is negative. Let's put this in a sentence. The height is decreasing at a rate of 5 feet per second. Now if the slope was +8, then we'd have the ratio of 8 feet per 1 second, and because now the 8 is positive, the height would be increasing at a rate of 8 feet per second. Let's also put this in a sentence. Now let's look at an example graphically. This graph shows the amount of water in a tub over a 10-minute time period. So along the horizontal axis we have time in seconds. These would be the inputs. Along the vertical axis we have the amount of water in gallons. These would be the outputs. So in part A, we're asked to identify the vertical intercept and interpret its meaning. So the vertical intercept is where the line crosses or intersects the vertical axis. That would be this point here. Notice how the ordered pair for this point would be 0, 40. Let's go ahead and write that down over here. So 0, 40. And when we have an ordered pair, remember the first value is the input, the second value is the output. So for this ordered pair, notice how the input would be 0, in this case minutes, and the output would be 40, in this case gallons of water. So this tells us at time 0 there are 40 gallons of water in the tub. So we could write that out and say at 0 minutes there are 40 gallons of water in the tub, but when the time is 0, that's the starting amount or initial amount. So let's go ahead and say the initial amount of water in the tub is 40 gallons. For part B, we're asked to identify the horizontal intercept and interpret its meaning. So the horizontal intercept is the point where the line crosses the horizontal axis, which would be this point here. Notice how this point would have the ordered pair 10, 0. So 10, 0. Again, notice for this point, the input is 10, which would be 10 minutes, and the output is 0, which would be 0 gallons of water. So this means after 10 minutes there are 0 gallons of water in the tub, so we could write that out. But if there are 0 gallons of water in the tub, then the tub would be empty. So we can also say after 10 minutes, the tub is empty. That would be the meaning of this horizontal intercept. So let's go ahead and write that out. After 10 minutes, the tub is empty. And now for the last part, we're asked to determine the slope and interpret its meaning. Well, to find the slope given 2 points on a line, we can use the slope formula given here. So let's go ahead and do that. Using our formula, let's call this x sub 1 and y sub 1, and here we have x sub 2 and y sub 2. So the slope m is equal to, we'd have y sub 2 minus y sub 1, that's going to be 0 minus 40, and then we have x sub 2 minus x sub 1, that would be 10 minus 0. So simplifying, we have negative 40 over 10, which simplifies to negative 4. But to understand the meaning of this, we want this to be in fraction form. Let's go ahead and put this over 1. And now we'll include the units. So the output units are gallons, and the input units are minutes. So the slope is equal to a negative 4 gallons per 1 minute, which means the amount of water in the tub is decreasing by 4 gallons each minute. And let's go ahead and write that out. So again, the amount of water in the tub is decreasing at a rate of 4 gallons per minute. Okay, I hope you found this helpful.